the project is called Insights for Catalysing Conservation. The idea of the project is to understand how, why, and when different conservation initiatives go to scale. And the reason that this project is really important is because we've had huge changes to the environment that we couldn't even really dream of a couple of decades ago. And we need to do something about them, right? So we've got climate change, we've got biodiversity declines, and a lot of the species that we depend on are disappearing. So the idea of this project is to try to understand examples of where to basically try to understand how when conservation has gone to scale, what are the drivers behind the scaling of that conservation, and how can we replicate them in future projects? Well, this subject is really important because we rely on biodiversity for a myriad of different reasons, including pollination of our crops and directly for our well-being. So being in nature will reduce the level of anxiety and stress in a population, for example. But even and at the moment, the pressures that we're putting in the environment are too much. Right, so we're losing a lot of nature, a lot of the benefits that nature provides, and a lot of the associated biodiversity. And this project is all about trying to think of ways that we can reverse it and learning for the ways that have been successful around the world, and trying so we can get those insights and replicate them elsewhere. So we learned that we could develop these models which predicted the adoption and spread of conservation initiatives, and we were using a particular case study called the locally managed marine areas. And within this model, it showed us that we could that the observed benefits, or the benefits that the villages could see in engaging in that conservation initiatives, were one of the main drivers of their engagement with the initiative. We also learned that the relationships between the different villages was critical in actually trying to predict the spatial spread of the initiative. So understanding their spatial relationships was also very important. Another thing that we learned was how brilliant it is to work with mathematicians, because they had lots of solutions to the problems that us as environmental social scientists had been facing within our research for a while. So the format was it was quite challenging but quite fun. So basically we had to move very quickly. So right from the get-go of the project, we were meeting with our mathematician colleagues and explaining to them the challenges that we were facing, and they were coming up with lots of different solutions that would help us solve those challenges, and coming up with these solutions really quickly, and actually, like, working through the night or just implementing those solutions very quickly. So it allowed for a really dynamic, I guess, research environment, which was quite fun. We also the funding was relatively flexible in terms of what exactly we were doing with the funding. So in the end, one of the things we decided to do was we decided to run a design sprint, because the mathematicians that we were working with kept asking us questions which we didn't necessarily always have an answer to, because they were very specific to how, like, the practitioners would use the research insights that we were providing them with. So we ran a design sprint, which is also very intense working hours and like, very short, very intense. But it allowed us to, just move a lot on the work we were planning to do. I think maybe work that would have taken us a year to figure out, we were figuring out in 6 months, or maybe even might have even taken longer. So it was fun.